Tonight, we celebrate the revival of the Timberlane High School Athletic Hall of Fame with the induction of the class of 2017. In the 22 years since the last class was inducted, Timberlane Athletics has experienced a period of tremendous success. At that time in '95, there were 16 state banners in the gymnasium. Now, including New England titles, 47 more banners have entered the rafters. Much of that success is thanks to this year's class of inductees, as well as the many athletes, coaches, and supporters that are gathered here tonight. Before I call upon Mr. Fantasia for his opening remarks, I'd like to welcome some of our distinguished guests this evening. I would ask that the following previously inducted members of the Timberlane Athletics Hall of Fame who are in attendance tonight stand to be recognized. Graduate of the class of 1971, Hall of Fame member Wilbur Moody. Graduate of the class of 1977, Hall of Fame member Robert Lang, Jr. And graduate of the class of 1977, Hall of Fame member Barry Chulchin. Thanks for being here tonight, gentlemen. This time I will hand it over to Athletic Director, Mr. Angelo Fantasia.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you for agreeing to be the Master of Ceremonies tonight and all the work that he's done to get us to this night. I'd like to begin by congratulating all of the inductees. This is a great night for you, your loved ones, as well as the Timberlane Athletic Department and our community at large. Many people have played a role in making this night a reality, and I'd like to spend some time just thanking those people now. First and foremost, I want to thank the members of the Hall of Fame Committee. And while there was an anonymous final selection group, the Hall of Fame Committee was instrumental in setting up bylaws, creating timelines, creating screening procedures, and they were working with me for over a year. So this time I'd like to recognize those members. First, Donald Woodworth, high school principal. Barry Chulchin, guidance counselor, teacher, and Hall of Famer. Mim Ryan, teacher at the high school, field hockey coach who just won 4-1 at Keene. Kevin Fitzgerald, teacher at the high school, football coach, and baseball coach. Tim Brown, teacher at the high school, football coach, middle school wrestling coach, and weight room supervisor, and everything else that we can come up with for Tim Brown. Heather Roy, assistant principal, field hockey coach, and getting more and more duties every day. So thank you, Heather. We have two community members. Big thank you to Dennis Heffernan for all the work that he did. Thank you, Dennis. And Robert Lang, as you heard, Hall of Famer. Thank you, Bobby. I'd like to thank Dr. Earl Metzler, the school board, the budget committee, and the SAU personnel for their support in creating this initiative. Thank you to Tom Geary, Plan Operations Director, Rodney Mills, and teacher Eric Schoenberger for the work that they're doing for the new display case that is coming over at the high school for this event. Thank you to Dean Zanello and Steve Rugaletti who are here tonight. Dean is videotaping and Steve is doing the slideshow presentation. They do a lot of work for the athletic department, not just tonight, so we're very appreciative of all their support as well. Thank you to Susan Ober of the Geskis Photography Company. They're sending a photographer over so that we can, at the end of the evening, we will have pictures of all of our Hall of Famers to send to the newspapers and also to post on our website as well. So thank you. I want to thank the high school office personnel, Kayleen Tomarello, Ann Ingalls, Vivian Lucas, for their help in keeping this organized as time went on. Special thanks to Principal Administrative Assistant Patty Mangini for all her help behind the scenes, and Patty is here tonight helping us, so thank you, Patty. And finally, a major thank you to my administrative assistant, Diane Nye, and many of you in the room know Diane. And Bucky will attest to this. Any athletic director is going to tell you that it's the administrative assistant that does everything. She was here this afternoon, and she's just done so much work. She's communicated with the inductees, the public, Atkinson. She has made this just a wonderful event, so thank you, Diane. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Earl Metzler, for some opening remarks.
Well, good evening. On behalf of the Timberlane Regional School District, and especially School Board Chair Brian Boyle of Atkinson, the pleasure of welcoming and congratulating Hall of Fame inductees, their families, and their loved ones. You know, excellence is not a matter of chance. Excellence is a matter of choice. We have district goals each year, just like every other district, but a major goal was to make sure that we recognized and celebrated excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. Tonight's recognition of some outstanding student athletes and teams that consisted of players and coaches that did not rely on luck, but chose excellence over mediocrity is something that anybody fortunate enough to attend and graduated from Timberlane knows is long overdue. The restoration of our Hall of Fame was also a choice of excellence. I want to take this opportunity to thank the school board for supporting this celebration, our athletic director, his team, and the Hall of Fame committee for their hard work. We have many great student athletes and teams worthy of recognition, so selecting this class of 2017 was challenging. You are some of the brightest and best that have graced our hallways. We are proud of your accomplishments while at Timberlane and beyond. Thank you for attending this evening and celebrating excellence at Timberlane. And remember, owls don't rely on luck. Owls choose to be excellent. Congratulations, Timberlane Hall of Fame class of 2017. You're a class with class. Congratulations.
Before we move on with the induction ceremony, I want to quickly welcome another one of our past inductees who arrived just a moment ago. So if you could rise to be recognized, class of 1988 Timberlane graduate Hall of Fame member Dan Donovan. Turning our attention to the class of 2017. For the past 37 years, our next speaker has walked the athletic fields, mats, courts, and track of Timberlane High School as a coach, teacher, mentor, and now building principal. He was a coach, friend, and avid supporter of many of tonight's inductees and is here to share his perspective of this class. Please join me in welcoming Timberlane High School Principal, Mr. Donald Woodworth, for his induction address.
Thank you. It's truly an honor and a privilege to speak about our individual inductees tonight, ahead of their formal induction presentations and their personal comments. I'm going to talk about some memories, some of the perspectives I have, basically having been a teacher and a coach and been in a position to see all but the 71 team perform as athletes and as students in our building or as an athletic director. I hope to capture the essence of who they are, and I hope that you all recognize everything I say to be perfectly honest and true. I'll start with our revered retired former athletic director, Mr. Bucky Tardiff, who was also a department head, a legendary basketball coach, PE and health director for the district. First, Bucky, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the district and certainly on behalf of the athletes of the late 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Your dynamic personality, your charisma, your passion made you one of the most approachable and therefore most effective leaders in the history of our district. You made a positive difference in the lives of thousands of students in the elementary, middle, and high school. You, through your attention to the quality of the athletics and the PE programs district-wide, helped them to develop as strong, independent thinkers and athletes. And through your mentoring of teachers, you made an impact on all students as well. So thank you for everything you did. Bucky was a great coach. First with the boys basketball teams of the early 80s, which captured 2 New Hampshire Class I state championships and a runner-up. And then again with a highly successful girls program later in the 90s. I'll never forget the scrappy championship teams that won titles and battled before tremendous crowds, very loud crowds at UNH in 1981 and 82. And I watched Bucky as he directed traffic and paced back and forth and shouted instructions and pumped up the fans and the players. Bucky has, or had, because I talked to him tonight and he's a little quieter. I don't know if he must have a cold or something, but he had the loudest voice I'd ever heard. It's an expressive voice, an effective voice, a sometimes entertaining voice, and sometimes an intimidating voice. I think his voice was a factor in those championships. It's definitely an attention-getting voice. Watching and listening to Bucky conduct a practice or coach a game, I learned quite a bit about the art of communication and motivation and game management. I even learned a little bit about influencing decisions of referees and athletes. Bucky could make a point with a shake of the head, a wave of the arm, or a simple exclamation of surprise. He could argue a call with a question, really? But never really with a critical remark. And he would very quickly and masterfully transition from that conversation to instructional leadership and game strategy with his players. And as an AD, Bucky was loyal to his coaches. He was invested in their programs, familiar with their challenges, and available always to help them with a problem. He was able to help parents with their concerns about their sons and daughters. He took ownership of everything that came across his desk, and his ability to promote the accomplishments of the athletic department were unparalleled. He had great respect for his athletes and his coaches and the school. He was a great role model, a man whose integrity and values and love of family and friends transcended his passion for athletics and resulted in a great deal of success for everyone. Bucky oversaw the transition of the Timberlane Class I school to the Timberlane Class L school and was instrumental in building the track and the game field and the lights and the press box and the concession stand around it, as well as the district-wide building projects of the 90s. Bucky could make things happen. On a personal note, thank you, Bucky, for your support and loyalty. You made me and many other emerging coaches want to make you proud of the teams we coached and the way we did it. And thanks for always being there with a spare set of keys when inevitably some coach lost his. Bucky, each of the athletes being inducted today, you knew well. And I'm sure you share my excitement for each of them. The athletic accomplishments of this group of graduates speak for themselves. Champions and award winners, all of them. But beyond the races, the games, the tournaments, and the championships won, is the impact that each of these inductees had on their classmates, their teammates, and their coaches. These are all athletes that come from families that were heavily involved in our programs, that have brothers or sisters who are also Timberlane athletes, and parents who played important roles as boosters or coaches or teachers in our program and our schools. So we celebrate all of this, all these amazing individuals. And we also recognize the tremendous impact of those who played an important role in shaping their attitudes and encouraging their efforts. That's all of you. We have 2 very special female athletes to induct this evening, Katie Sickle and Renee Clavette. And I was fortunate to be able to attend a lot of their games and see them excel. Anyone who saw Katie play knew that she was intensely competitive. She stood out. She was a factor in the tenor of a game. She was a gifted field hockey player, capable of dominant play, but respected for the commitment that she made to the team first. Katie was fast and fierce, but as aggressive a player as Katie was, she was very humble and worked extremely hard and earned every opportunity she ever had. Her teammates just fed off of her, and everyone improved their skills and gained confidence as a result of her commitment to them. Mim Ryan, her coach, remarked that she was there for her teammates. She was the ultimate team player, one who made everyone around her better. Mim explained her value to the field hockey team this way. Katie's senior year, we graduated 10 seniors, only 4 returning starters. We had 9 first-year varsity players, so expectations were that it would be a rebuilding year. But through Katie's leadership and example, we had a successful season, went all the way to the finals, losing a heartbreaker in the final minutes, 1-0. In basketball, she was a pest of a defensive player on one end and a threat to drive or pass on the other. In both sports, she was hard to account for because of her individual skills, her confidence, and her awareness. A National High School All-American, an NCAA Division I All-American at Iowa. Katie's one of 5 Sickle kids who all went from starring at Timberlane to competing at Division I schools. What an amazing career and what an amazing family. Katie Sickle, we're proud of you and welcoming you tonight to this ceremony. Thank you. Renee Clavette Crawford is another remarkable high school athlete. Gifted scholar, tremendous top-ranking student, a leader on and off the field, a captain. It's an honor to be named the top player in the state in any sport, and Renee had that honor in both softball and field hockey. She was a rock in both sports, a pitcher and a goalie, 2 pressure-packed positions. Mim Ryan said, if you're going to score on the Owls, in one of those 2 sports, you had to score on Renee. Good luck with that. You know, Renee was somebody you could depend on. I was talking to my son, he was telling me about on the days that she pitched, people would go down there just to see if maybe today was the day she got a perfect game. She was that dominant. She had some absolutely impressive performances as a pitcher, winning 61 games, striking out over 600 batters in her 4 years in the program. In field hockey, she was similarly impressive. 8 shutouts in her senior year, a 90% save percentage. Renee was a true team player who went on to play Division I ball at Siena College. But I think she was probably most recognized around the school because of her mature presence, her voice of reason. In class, in the halls, at school events, Renee had a tremendous impact on others. She was comfortable rooting for others, serving even as a manager, or helping out a friend. She's a very special person. We're very proud to be inducting Renee tonight, too. The gentlemen being inducted tonight were similarly special student athletes. It'd be hard for me to overstate the impact that Jason Vanderhoof had on the cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track programs while he was a student from 1993 to 1996. It'd be hard for me to let you know just how important he was to me as a coach, to have somebody that dedicated, that focused. He led the cross-country team to 3 consecutive Class I championships from 93 to 95. And he was a star on the outdoor track team that won the title in 1996. He was a multiple-time state champion in all 3 seasons that he competed. He was a New England champion in cross-country during his senior year. He was a dedicated athlete who outworked everyone year-round. That's why he was so special. It was a great era for cross-country and track at Timberlane, and Jason took the pressure off of everyone by consistently performing at a high level and staying focused on his training, always being prepared. He had many exciting races, but for me, probably the most memorable was at the end of his junior year. In the mid-90s, there were 2 very celebrated distance runners from the area, Matt Downing of Pinkerton and John Mortimer. And both were nationally recognized on their way to Division I programs to compete. And at the 1995 Meet of Champions, during that senior year that they had, the 2 were garnering all the attention as they were face off in a televised 1,600-meter showdown. Their parents were in the booth, and in the pre-race interviews, their coaches boasted about the potential for a record-setting time. And as the race began, Mortimer, as expected, went out first, and he was followed closely by Downing. And just behind them came Jason, who was somewhat of an afterthought, albeit that he was a Class I champion and up-and-coming junior. Still, he was an underdog. The 2 leaders and Jason steadily separated from the field. 2 laps in, and still after 3, there was no real significant change in position. The tension mounted, and as the gun went off for the final lap, and they turned around and headed down the straightaway. But a little bit over 200 meters to go, down and made his move. He predictably, was going to make a move on Mortimer, but then Mortimer responded, and Jason rode his tail. And as down and hit the wall on the turn, Mortimer gained some momentum, and the crowd went crazy. And then, with about 100 meters to go, Jason kicked into gear, blew by both of them, and coasted to the finish, snagging a state championship, shocking everyone in the crowd, except perhaps our distance coach, Kurt Zing, who said all along that Jason was the faster sprinter and would win if it came down to a 200-meter race at the end. Jason went on to become one of the great New Hampshire runners of all time, as did Downing and Mortimer, all three, in fact, becoming Division I All-Americans. Jason, a 4-year track and cross-country runner at the University of Wisconsin and a Big Ten cross-country champion in 2000. We welcome you to the Hall. Jay Holder, our first New England champion at Timberlane in wrestling was Jay Holder. His teammate also was a New England champ that night, Jared Voff. Jay won that event twice, was a runner-up once, on his way to becoming a high school All-American. Jay was a wrestling and football captain, a shrine ball participant, a member of a state championship relay team in spring track. Jay just loved to compete. And he prepared as thoroughly as anyone I've ever known or coached. His expectation of himself was through the roof, and he thrived on pressure. Luckily, Jay didn't lose much, because when he did lose, it meant that there would be fury in the practice room or the practice field until he got a chance to compete again. In wrestling, after those rare times when Jay absorbed a defeat, Coach Children had to protect Jay's teammates by pairing only with the coaches. We didn't want to get anybody hurt, except for the coaches. Jason was fast, he was tough, he was intensely emotional. He pushed himself and his teams to be their best as the captain of both the wrestling team and the football team, and he led Timberlane to its first New England team championship. Coach Children said of him, Jay possessed a rare combination of character and leadership that is unmatched in our program's history. He was universally respected by all students and staff. On the football field, he was one of the hardest hitters, but he was also quick to help up an opponent after he hit him, and then he'd pat him on the back and say, good job. Jay went on to be a 3-year captain at the BU wrestling team program. Now he's a doctor, Dr. Jason Holder, college professor, head wrestling coach at Springfield College in Massachusetts. He's established himself as one of the great New England wrestling coaches, and he's been giving back to the high school each year by helping our program at summer camps and giving clinics at the high school during the season. Thank you, Jay, for everything. Congratulations. Matt Smith. Some competitors are so consistently fierce that they intimidate their opponents and ignite strong reactions from the crowd and the athletes, and occasionally even the referees. Matt was one of those competitors. He did not disguise his intent on the wrestling mat from day one for Timberlane. He believed he would win every time that he suited up. Matt did not become great by accident. He and his dad, Gordon, traveled all across the country seeking top competition throughout his middle and high school years. He was always up for the challenge of competing against the best in the country. I recall the first trip we took to Delaware to wrestle in the toughest tournament we can find in the nation, the Beast of the East. Ahead of competing, Barry Children circled up the team and had every wrestler state their goal for the tournament. And while everybody was upbeat about their opportunities to win some matches, compete well, our newest varsity member, freshman Matt, said confidently, I think I should win this tournament. While that didn't happen in Delaware that year, from that point on, it was clear that Matt was on a mission, that he felt he could and should beat anyone. Matt returned from that tournament disappointed and angry, and that disappointment fueled a tremendous response in the wrestling room, an increased intensity, which led to unprecedented victories in New England, 186-6 overall high school record. Matt went undefeated for 4 years in New England competition. He was a 4-time New England champion, only the second person ever to do that. The outstanding wrestler of the New England Championships in 2002, and the high school senior national champion in 2002. Coach Children, thinking of Matt, said, only one wrestler in our incredibly successful program can lay claim to being the best ever. That wrestler is Matt Smith. Beyond his accomplishments as a wrestler, Matt works with special education students at Wyndham High School, has developed a highly successful wrestling club for youth and high school athletes, and has dedicated countless volunteer hours to support Timberlane wrestling. His combined efforts have helped open many doors for many high school athletes, and we're very proud of him. Thank you, Matt. Matt Cerny, regarded as one of the best all-around athletes in Timberlane High School history, Matt chose football, basketball, and spring track. I believe that if he had played soccer, volleyball, and baseball, we would still be honoring him tonight. In football, Matt was poetry in motion, a threat to score on offense and defense and special teams, a feat that he accomplished 45 times. In basketball, he was one of a handful of Timberlane players to accumulate over 1,000 points in his 4 years in the program. And in track, even though I think he really joined just to enjoy training under the sprint coach, Blaise Zambrano, just to hear what he might say next, or do next, he was talented enough to win a spot on the relay team that qualified and ran at high school track and field nationals. Matt conducted himself with confidence, grace, and dignity as a student, was a strong student, chose to attend Tufts, where he continued to play ball while getting a tremendous education. We see him at the school now and then with his son, volunteering to chaperone school dances, helping his wife, who's a teacher at the high school, at school events. Timberlane won the 1999 football state championships of Division II by knocking off an outstanding Exeter team during Matt's senior year. In a game that began with a Cerny touchdown on the opening kickoff, he scored twice in that game, trapped Exeter in deep near the end of the game with a punt, never came off the field the whole game. His presence on the field demanded so much attention that it opened up opportunities for the rest of the offense to shine. Matt was one of a group of seniors that Coach Paraso relied upon to build a championship program that went from a relative obscurity to becoming a top-notch program. Speaking to Coach Paraso the other night about him, I said, what would you say if I had you say something about Matt? He just said, Matt was ideal. Congratulations, Matt. The 1971 baseball team will be the first team inducted into the Hall of Fame for Timberlane. The 1971 team lays claim to the first ever state championship for Timberlane. Through the conversations I've had with Wilbur Moody over the past year, I've come to appreciate the pride that team had in their accomplishment and the degree to which the high school athletic program has developed over the years. I'm not sure which of his stories are fact and which are fiction, because the legend seems to grow every time I talk to him. But we really want to set the record straight. So tonight we're going to have the head coach from that program speak when that team is introduced, or just ahead of that. And we'll find out the real story. But that was a tremendous team 46 years ago. Almost all of them are here tonight. We're tremendously proud of them. Can't wait to hear Bill Schoenfeld tell the whole story. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the mic. I'm sure you're glad of that. I've been up here for about a half an hour, I believe. And call Dan Worth up to begin the presentation portion of our induction ceremony. Thank you.
A 2004 graduate of Tufts University and a member of the Timberlane High School class of 2000, Matt was a standout three-sport athlete for the athletic program. In track, he was a 2-year letterman as a sprinter and represented the school at the high school track and field nationals at NC State on the school's sprint medley relay. He was a 3-year captain and a 4-year letterman for the basketball team in a career which he amassed 1,086 points, becoming only the second male player to reach the 1,000-point mark in school history. Along the way, becoming a 3-time Eagle Tribune All-Star, as well as the Boston Globe All-Scholastic team member his senior year. But it was on the football field where perhaps he left his most memorable mark. A 4-year letterman and captain his senior year, Matt put together one of the most prolific seasons in the state's history, with over 2,500 all-purpose yards, 22 touchdowns, and most importantly, carrying the team to the 1999 Division II state title. His performance earned him all-state honors, as well as being named an Eagle Tribune All-Star, a Boston Globe All-Scholastic team member, New Hampshire Shrine Bowl selection, honorable mention on the USA Today All-USA team, and the Joe Yukaga New Hampshire Chapter National Football Foundation Hall of Fame Scholar Athlete Award. On behalf of the Hall of Fame committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Matt Cerny.
Thank you so much for that. That was really incredible. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow inductees tonight. It's really a privilege to be recognized with such a great group of athletes and coaches. I'd like to thank both Coach Pariseau and my beautiful wife, Lisa, for nominating me. It's funny to note that the only sport my wife has ever seen me play is toy basketball with my 2-year-old son in our backyard, so I'm assuming she believed at least some of the largely exaggerated and exhausting sports stories she's had to endure over the years. Like other athletes that I have success playing team sports, I was fortunate to learn and play with some of the best coaches and teammates in the state. I owe any success I had during my time at Timberlane to those coaches and teammates. Without guys like Mark Conway blocking up front and Derek Gibbs throwing great passes, my football stats would have turned out a lot different. Without sharing the court with players like Chris Tardif, who really has had a Hall of Fame career himself, I'm certainly not scoring 1,000 points. The support I've received from my former teammates needs to be recognized, as I'm not standing up here tonight without them. As for my coaches, I had the very best. I learned so much from men like Coach Fitz, Coach Zambrano, Coach Fish, Coach Woodworth, Coach Seastead, Coach Cardone, Coach Tardif, who is also being recognized tonight, which I'm excited for. These men were instrumental in making me into the best athlete and person I could be. I'll always be thankful for their support and all the support they provided. There are a couple coaches that I'd like to give a special thanks to. First, Coach Pariseau. Coach Pariseau opened my eyes to a whole new sport. I'd never really considered playing football until a coach called me one day over the summer before my freshman year of high school. At that time, my focus had always been on basketball. I had in my head that I was going to make the NBA someday. Pretty lofty goals for a 6'1" power forward with no outside jump shot. Nevertheless, Coach Pariseau convinced me to give it a try, and from day one I was hooked. I'll always be grateful for that call he made that summer day and the relationship and the experiences we shared every day after that. The 1999 championship season was so special for so many reasons, but to also get to share it with such an amazing person and mentor made it even better. So thank you, Coach. Coach Habib. Coach Habib and I spent more time in the gym than anyone together. I attended every basketball camp that he put on from a young age, played AAU basketball with him during the springtime, and obviously high school ball during the winter. He taught me so much about the fundamentals of the game and really how to maximize my ability as a player on the court. He also helped me to develop into a leader by giving me the opportunity to be a captain so early on in my career. I have so many great memories with Coach Habib and will always be grateful for all the time we spent together and all that I learned from you as a person. So thank you, Coach. Finally, a huge thanks to my parents, Carol and Tony Cerny. My parents have been so supportive of me in really every aspect of my life, not just my sports career. Thank you for all the sacrifices that you guys have made for me. I wouldn't be the man and the father I am today without you guys, and I love you both very much. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for this great honor.
Coach Pariseau had a remark to my father that he only recruited 2 people to ever play football, Matt and actually my brother, and I guess his remark was that I probably should have recruited more people. So. All right. A 2008 graduate of Siena College and a member of the Timberlane High School class of 2005, Renee was a standout member of the field hockey and softball programs, as well as a tremendous leader in the school community. As a goalie for the field hockey team, she helped anchor the back line for 3 straight Class L championship game appearances from 2001 to 2003. During the 2003 finals run, she had 8 shutouts. She was named to the All-State team in both her junior and senior seasons and was named the 2004 New Hampshire Division I Field Hockey Player of the Year and earned an invite to the United States Field Hockey Association Futures Camp. In softball, she was a standout pitcher who was named to 4 consecutive All-State teams after posting a career record 62-11 and recording over 600 strikeouts. She pitched the 2003 team to the Class L state finals, and in 2004 was named the Eagle Tribune MVP for the season. During her senior year, she pitched all but 4 innings of the regular season while having an ERA of .29 and batting over .500. She was named the 2005 Female Athlete of the Year, as well as the 2005 Wendy's High School Heisman Award winner. At Siena College, she played both field hockey and softball and led the nation in saves per game her senior field hockey season. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Renee Clavette Crawford.
I'd like to thank the Timberlane Athletics Hall of Fame Board and Selection Committee for their hard work to restore the Athletics Hall of Fame and for their decision to induct me and the rest of the class of 2017. This is such an incredible honor and privilege and something I'll always reflect on with great pride. Being part of the Timberlane field hockey and softball programs has had a significant influence on my life and has helped shape me into the person I am today. I will always cherish the memories and friends I made during these years and want to thank everyone who has supported me during such an impressionable time. I would especially like to thank my high school coaches, Mim Ryan, Cindy Hendy, and Coach Mike Sorter for teaching me more than just the fundamentals and skills of the game. They taught me the meaning of hard work, dedication, and the importance of teamwork. They also taught me lessons from time management to weighing the good of the team over the benefit of any individual. These skills and lessons, along with the love and support of my family, have carried through to my adult life. As an administrator in higher education, I am called on every day to use those life lessons, and they really create that sense of community in me. Hard work and teamwork is what athletics are all about. I believe they help to create a foundation for the type of person you'll become later in life. I would also like to thank my teammates during my time as an Owl. In field hockey and softball, no one player can do it all. From the small kindnesses to the true athletic accomplishments, it takes a team effort. All that I accomplished happened because of the teams and coaches that I played with. All of us achieved awesome success together. I also owe a lot to the many field hockey and softball fans at TRHS. I will always have great memories of playing games at Timberlane. Very little can compare to the memories I have of other athletes and students lined up on top of the football bleachers looking down onto the softball field and the rows of people lined up on our field hockey sidelines, cheering us on. It's amazing what you can do when you're part of something and you take time to care. And lastly, I'd like to thank my family, especially my parents, Jim and Jane. I can never thank you enough for the love, support, and limitless opportunities you provided to me. I would not be where I am today without your unconditional love, support, and encouragement. I cannot recall a game or tournament where you were not in the stands cheering me on, even as a tiny t-ball player and all the way through my collegiate career. You were there throughout the highs and the lows and encouraged me to work hard and to reach for my dreams. Even the crazy ones, like being a 4'11.5" Division I player. The foundation of academics and the athletic experience that I received here while at Timberlane has opened doors for me throughout my life, and I truly received a complete education. I am humbled by and most appreciative of this recognition. Thank you.
A 2003 graduate of Boston University and a member of the Timberlane High School class of 1998. Jay was a 4-year letterman all 3 seasons of the year. He was part of the IMS State Championship track and field team in 1997 and 1998, placing in the 300-meter hurdles as a junior, and was part of the 2-time IMS State Champion in 1998 Meet of Champions 4x100 relay that qualified for nationals. In football, he was a 2-time All-State player at primarily running back and cornerback, and a team captain his senior year, in which he was selected to the Hampshire Shrine Bowl and led the New Hampshire team in tackles, because kids were mean to him. On the wrestling mats, Jay was one of the prominent faces of a program that would cement itself as a powerhouse in the state, region, and gain national acclaim in the 1990s. Jay was a 4-time IMS state champion, a 3-time New Hampshire state champion, a 3-time New England finalist, and a 2-time New England champion, including the outstanding wrestler of the 1997 New England tournament. He was a 2-time place winner at the prestigious Beast of the East, including a finalist in 1996. His teams won 4 straight Class IMS and New Hampshire state titles and helped the Owls claim their first New England title in 1996. He was named the Eagle Tribune Outstanding Athlete his senior year and the Eagle Tribune MVP for wrestling in 97 and 98, placing 6th at the National High School Coaches Association Senior Nationals, earning him All-American status. Jay was a 3-year starter and 2-year captain at Boston University and an NCAA Division I National Tournament qualifier his senior year. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angela Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Dr. Jason Holder.
I heard 3 minutes, but you got to bear with me. It might be a little longer, so but I'll try to get it going. I'm very proud to be an alumni of Timberlane Regional High School, and extremely honored tonight to be inducted into the Timberlane Athletics Hall of Fame. To this day, I still love telling those I work with in the wrestling community that I went to a small school in New Hampshire, and then I wait a little bit, and they ask, well, where and what school? And I say, Timberlane. I wait a little bit more, and they're like, their eyes widen up. I say, why, you've heard of it? The response being, of course. Coach Mike Pariseau let us know that the building itself is just brick walls. It's the students, the teachers, and the coaches that make Timberlane what it is. This is so true, and I will let you know that the people and connections I've made here at Timberlane are amazing and everlasting. I've learned through athletics that to be successful, we need to separate ourselves from the success inhibitors. Partying, drugs and alcohol, naysayers, and non-believers. There's so many negative influences out there that bring us down. They ruin dreams, they can shorten lives. Therefore, it's critical to find your support system. When I think about wanting to be successful in whatever it is, I believe it's difficult to make happen without the proper support system. It's critical to circle yourself around people who believe in you, and their positivity will help you believe in yourself as well. Tonight, I'd like to circle my speech around the 3 critical groups of people, my support system. Some of my fondest high school memories are with my teammates. Many of these people I have stayed in touch with still. Just a couple weeks ago, I was still having fun with some of these people up in North Conway. The people I competed with on the football field, like Pat Conley, Jason Breton, Matt Cerny, Conway, and so many more. I feel like these guys should be recognized as well. It wasn't the wins and losses. We really weren't even that good at that point. We probably should have given me the ball less and Cerny the ball more. I feel like, but I can look back with fond memories because we went through it together and still share those stories in those days like it was yesterday. Our teammates made this experience what it was. My wrestling drilling partners and teammates like Jeremy Iverson, Pete and Eric Doucette, Jared Rolfe, Eric Bradley, Pat Conley, many more. They were in that, what I call a competitive radius. Some of them, I aspired to be like them. I wanted to better them. I wanted to compete with them. and they made me better. And then some of them were behind you, a little bit younger, and nipping at your heels. And we always worked together and tried to outdo each other, and it made us what we were. I also got to watch Jason Vanderhoof compete. Congratulations, by the way. I'll never forget that race where he knocked off Downing and Mortimer. What a kick. I was lucky to be a part of 2 state championship track teams. This was so much fun. There's no way I could have been a part of this, well, without Taylor Smith for sure, who I think scored 40 points in that meet, but or Kevin Verge, who was also held the record in 300-meter hurdles. But I couldn't have done it without my teammates. For track, it was much less pressure than football and wrestling. Essentially, I was just along for the ride. I'll never forget after making the last spot for the 4x1 team. I actually think I borrowed one of the people's I raced against Spikes and got the spot. But listening to Coach Bill Verge, and he tried to fire me up, and he said, "Holder, you're the power leg. You just take that thing and you get it from point A to point B as fast as you can." And I'm thinking to myself, my grandfather coached track. I didn't know too much about track, but I knew that I've heard of the anchor, and that was Taylor. And I've heard of the leadoff who runs the corners well, and that was Verge. I've never heard of a power leg. Then it hit me. And I said, "Mr. Verge, relax. I know you mean I'm the slow guy. I'm just going to take it and do the best I can." I kind of knew my role. But that confidence that he was trying to instill in me was something that I totally respect. And that leads me to the coaches. These men impacted how I live my life today. Chu, Woody, and Pariso have all had a profound impact on my life. We have great relationships and are still connected many times throughout the year. I still reach out to them frequently when I need advice or I'm making a big decision in my life. At Timberlane, the coaches were incredible supporters of student-athlete success. The coaches taught us to move forward and keep working. They instilled life lessons that many of us probably use to this day, no matter what it is we're doing. They helped us develop confidence in ourselves and each other. And they have not only impacted my life, but others who they have touched. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from the coaches was to believe in yourself, no matter how ridiculous your goals might sound. The impossible is only impossible until it isn't. When I got to Timberlane, there hadn't been a New England champ. Next thing you know, a couple years after, there's a 4-time New England champ and a national champ. People constantly outdoing each other and making each other better, and that's where the program's gone. I truly believe that wrestling, the team here, instills an incredible amount of confidence in their young men. We're great examples of overachievers. Before the Nationals, I remember feeling like a machine. And I remember Chu actually making me feel like I was made of metal for some reason. But he just had that knack for making us feel like we're going to win. A few years ago, a local coach stopped in my office at Springfield College, and he said he was wrestling with some of the Timberlane guys over the summer. He said, they're not even that good of athletes. They just believe in themselves. Don't get me wrong, we've had some great athletes, but I really believe that we've had many more overachievers that have come through the program, the wrestling program, because of the belief in themselves instilled in them by their coaches. My goal as a teacher and coach is to teach positive life lessons through the sport. I try to give my staff, students, and student athletes the courage, confidence, and skills to take action and work towards success, and often reflect on what my coaches did or what they would do in certain situations. Pariso, Chu, and Woody's roles are different and their styles are different. So sometimes I have to think about what all 3 of them did and then choose the best decision. Or maybe I think about what Blaze would do and do the opposite. It was not just the coaches and teammates who I need to recognize for this honor. I was lucky enough to have such a great support from my family. My family have been huge supporters in my life, and they're my biggest fans. Mom, Dad, and extended family who came tonight, thank you. You've been role models, supports, and encouragement throughout mine, my brother, and my sister's careers. My brother Ryan has been a great teammate. My sister, he's been a huge fan. And Susie was dragged to these things when she was in her diapers. You were and still are a source of support, as well as motivators, and have both provided perspective to me in your own ways. So thank you. I think this is one of the single most important factors in success is what my parents taught us and modeled us every day to my brother and sister. If you want to be successful, then take action. It's not easy to wake up in the morning, go for a run when you need to get your weight down. Or my mom, who would put empty boxes for me to visualize what they might taste like in the pantry so I don't eat them. Or spend extra time on your homework. But we wanted to be successful. It's cute to say I want to be successful. People say it a lot. I hear it all the time from my students and student athletes. When it comes time to take action, many people back down. Some people fail and they give up. In my high school athletics experience, and with the proper facilitation by my coaches and my family, when it came time to take action academically or in athletics, my parents and coaches pushed us to keep working. What many people don't realize is success is not a linear process. Every time I got beat, as Woody kind of mentioned, or failed a test, or something didn't go as planned, we were taught to get up and not quit. I've learned it is our struggles and when we are knocked down where we develop resiliency and mental toughness. This is where the most growth occurs. I've learned to apply this today to other aspects of my life and accomplish things that I've accomplished today because of lessons I've learned from my parents and coaches. Looking back on my high school athletics experience in this process was really fun for me. My goals today, because of what I've learned from the environment at Timberlane High School, are to continue striving to become a successful coach, teacher, and coworker, but more importantly, aspire to be a Hall of Fame friend, son, brother, husband, and father. Thank you. Congratulations to all the other inductees, and have a great night.
A 2008 graduate of the University of Iowa and a member of the Timberlane High School class of 2004, Katie was a three-sport athlete in field hockey, basketball, and tennis, and was one of the fiercest competitors to ever don the maroon and white. She was a 4-year varsity player for the basketball program and had a reputation for causing havoc on the defensive end for opposing teams' top scorers. A 3-year starter, she was the captain her senior year. As a field hockey player, her credentials are unmatched at Timberlane. She helped carry the Apples field hockey program to 3 straight Class L state finals appearances from 2001 to 2003, captaining the team her senior year. She led the team in goals and assists. She was named the Class L First Team All-State and Class L Player of the Year, as well as an Eagle Tribune Field Hockey MVP. She was named to the Twin State team as one of only 16 players in the country named to the National Field Hockey Coaches Association All-American team. During her high school years, her talents got her national attention as she was a member of the 2001 United States U16 team, a National Futures Tournament participant from 2001 to 2003, and a Futures Elite member from 2002 to 2003. In 2004, she was invited to the A camp by the United States Field Hockey Association to train and compete for a spot on the U.S. team. At Iowa, she would start in all 81 of the team's games during her 4-year period, earning third-team All-American status twice and second-team Big Ten status twice as well. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Katie Sickle.
When I got here, I fell down the stairs coming in, so I already feel successful ending this evening. Thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee for putting this together and welcoming me into the family. Thank you to my father for nominating me. Thank you to Mim for being my liaison to making sure that I sent pictures and did all the other stuff I was supposed to do. I just found out about the football game, so I guess I'll be back on Friday. I'm very honored to be here because there are 5 sickle children, and quite a few of us could be standing here tonight in my place. And I feel really honored to be the first one to represent our family. My siblings, Lauren, Derek, Julie, and Chelsea, are my most favorite teammates, my first teammates. We spent most of our childhood playing games. There was a lot of us, and my parents were young, so we didn't go on a lot of fancy situations, but we played a lot of kickball, we played a lot of football, played some wiffle ball, pretty much any sport you could think of. We have a very large yard, so the teams, we worked our way out. But the reason why I'm here and the reason why we all saw so much success was because of my parents, Paul and Ellen Sickle. They never said no. Whenever we wanted to try anything, they were there for us. They made the opportunities happen. I think that between the 5 of us, we played every sport you could think of other than fencing. And a lot of times we didn't repeat the sport, so there was a lot of equipment that had to be purchased and then is still in our basement, unfortunately, even though we've had a lot of yard sales to try and get rid of them. But they let us have every opportunity. We did travel teams, we did club teams, we did camps, so many camps. They were basically a taxi service and they didn't get paid. I feel like you should have just come up with Uber and charged us, and you could have paid for our educations. But we were all fortunate enough to receive scholarships, and that's because we really did have the best opportunities to work with the best coaches, play with the best teammates. We thought about, well, not me, because I had no control, but they thought about moving us a couple of times, but the Timberlane district for sports was one of the best in New England, and you really can't put yourself in a better opportunity than bring someone up through the wrestling program here. There really wasn't that much of a field hockey program, but by the time we got done, it's pretty impressive. Our basketball team, Lauren was incredible for our basketball team, and I kind of just ran around and did whatever she said, and I tried to be helpful. But I want to thank my family. They are my most favorite people, and they're all here tonight to support me, and this is really a terrific honor. I am very proud to have gone through the Timberlane athletics programs and represented, played in championships, played in playoff games. I played tennis. I didn't wear the skirt, but I thought I hit the ball pretty hard. So thank you so much for this honor, and hopefully we'll be back in a few more years to celebrate some more sickles. Thank you.
All right. Now, Matt. A member of the Timberlane High School class of 2002, Matt's name became synonymous with the Owls wrestling program and would become the most decorated wrestler in the program's illustrious history. Matt was a 4-time Class L state champion, a 4-time New Hampshire state champion, a 4-time New England champion, all while never losing a single match in the New England region. He was a 3-time place winner at the prestigious Beast of the East tournament in Newark, Delaware, twice making it to the finals. His career culminated in a National High School Coaches Association Senior Nationals National Championship. He was a 4-time Eagle Tribune All-Star and the Eagle Tribune MVP for the 99, 2001, and 2002 wrestling seasons, making him the only ever 3-time MVP selection by the Eagle Tribune. He was selected as a USA Wrestling Magazine All-American after accumulating a career record of 186-6, which at the time of his graduation was the highest win total in the program's history. After his 4th New England title, he was awarded the Outstanding Wrestler of the tournament and was inducted into the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame immediately following his match. The teams he competed on were 3-time Class L state champions, 3-time New Hampshire state champions, and 2-time New England champions. He He's currently a volunteer assistant to the Timberlane High School wrestling team, and his tireless commitment to our athletes over the past 15 years has been paramount to the continued success of the program. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Matt Smith.
All right, so I got an A+ in public speaking in college, so I'm going to give this a good shot, see how I did, so you guys can give me a grade at the end. I still forget that one loss my senior year in the BC's finals, and I think about it pretty much every day. And you know, that hard work I did, you know, I never accomplished everything I wanted, but I did do a lot of great things. I want to thank my coaches and my parents and my sister and everyone that supported me. You know, without them, I couldn't have accomplished a lot of things. You know, the coaches were great. You know, there's a couple stories I'm going to give tonight. Obviously, Coach Brett Tone was a huge instrumental person in my life. When I had to cut weight for the BCs, I knew BCs was a month away, but I didn't want to eat at Thanksgiving. And there were 3 Thanksgivings in a row where I had to cut weight, and Brett Tone took it away from his family to sit with me and, you know, not eat and play video games, you know. And everyone knows him. He loves to eat. But, you know, he took that day to take it off and spend that time with me, and it really meant a lot. You know, Coach Woody and Coach Chu are some of the greatest influential persons in my life. I use it every day. I never thought I'd be good at something other than wrestling. And you know, I was talking to Coach Woody one day, and I got into special ed, and it's been one of the greatest things I've ever done. It's like I'm wrestling again. You know, every day I get to work with someone and influence them, and I'm picking everyone's brain. I was talking to Doc Holder today about stuff, just trying to learn, you know, trying to get better. And it really has changed me, and I appreciate them instilling all those, you know, positive things in me. A lot of times when people, you know, ask me things like, why were you so tough? You know, it must have been your dad. He was a tough guy. He was a tough guy. I remember those times when I was a kid, and, you know, I'd be crying. I don't think I was crying. He says I was crying. And, you know, he would go in his trophy case, and he would pull out his trophy, and he'd be like, great acting job. And I'd take it, and I'd whip it on the ground, and he'd be like, you're a great actor, best actor of the year. You know, those are the things that used to push me. But because everyone asked me, and I always answer, my mom was the toughest one in the family. She was definitely tough. When we were at the BCs my junior year, I just won the biggest match I've ever won. Like, beat one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever beaten. He was a 4-time Virginia state champ. I walk up, I'm high-fiving everyone. Chu comes over to me. Matt, your mother was arrested. What? My mom was arrested? I just won the biggest match of my career, and my mom got arrested? So my sister was down on the mat videotaping. She's just as feisty as me. This 6'2" cop comes over and is like, listen, you can't tape him. This is my brother. I'm taping him. The second the cop grabbed my sister, my mom came pouncing down and grabbed him. And she, without a second, would protect us. And, you know, that's the type of, you know, family we grew up in. It was just like, we fought for everything. Just like my mom, just like my dad. You know, we scrapped for everything. My dad was huge. All those times traveling, all those mornings waking up early to cut weight with me, all those times that, you know, we drove to tournaments. I wasn't the best guy to go to the tournaments with him. I'd be sleeping half the time. He'd be driving by himself. 6 hours to New Jersey. I'd go there. I remember I lost one match. Turn around, drive home. Lost one match. 6 hours, then turn around, drive 6 hours home. Those are the huge things that made me the type of person I am. I definitely had a lot of fight in me, and I went after it, but if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be up here. And I really appreciate everything that they've done for me. You know, and I really want to thank everyone and thank all these amazing athletes around. I know Matt Cerny, when I was a freshman watching you play in those football games, I wanted to be you, just in a different sport. You know, so it's pretty awesome to be around these type of people now and be a part of this. So I want to thank everyone for having me there, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
says Bucky. I thought I was supposed to say Diane Nye, but apparently there was a mix-up. For a 30-year period, Bucky was a giant part of the Timberlane athletic program. He began as a coach of the boys basketball team in 1978 and would lead the boys program to 3 straight finals beginning in 1980, including winning the 81 and 82 Class I state championships. During a 4-year stretch, the team was 76-11, including a 31-game winning streak. As the girls' coach, he led the team to the only undefeated regular season in program history, making it all the way to the state finals in '98. Between his stints with the boys and girls, he was named Coach of the Year 3 times. In '85, he was named the Timberlane Athletic Director and remained such through 2008. During his tenure as AD, he grew the athletic programs from 27 to 57 teams, adding teams in girls soccer, boys and girls volleyball, golf, swimming, boys and girls lacrosse, boys and girls tennis, hockey, and boys and girls skiing. He was a 2-time Athletic Director of the Year, sat on the NHIAA Council for 3 years, directed the Athletic Director Conference for 8 years, and became President of the State Athletic Director Association. He helped to create the Athletic Council, a collaboration between athletic programs and local community members and businesses to help support the needs of the athletic program. Among the additions during his tenure were countless athletic fields, a new track, lights for the football field, a new press box, the wrestling room, the weight room, amongst many others. Whether direct or indirect, each of the previous individuals inducted tonight, as well as thousands of additional Owls athletes and the community as a whole, greatly benefited from the tireless efforts of this individual. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 inductee, Dennis Bucky Tardif.
I know they have a pool on how long I'm going to talk tonight, so I won't be long. They got the old man up here now, so you'll probably hear from a different perspective. But first of all, it's great to be back at Timberlane. That is probably the most important thing. It's so wonderful to be here and see everyone here. I really want to congratulate my fellow inductees and reflect back. And when I was an AD, I've seen all of you, and you could see greatness. You can see leadership, and you can see pride in all of you when you were then, and you knew great things were going to happen to all of you. The one common thread that we heard from all of you tonight was how important your parents were and how important the coaches were. And that's true with me too. They were so influential. All your parents were influential in what we did in the Timberlane athletic program. It was wonderful to see that and to see you now what you turned into. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. It's great. It's a lot of work to get back in to do this again. They did a great job. I'd like to thank Angelo, Diane, wherever she is. She's still here? Diane, I mean, the boss of the athletic department. Also, I'd like to thank all the coaches, my friends, my family that are here tonight, and especially my wife, because obviously people don't know how hard it is to be the spouse of a coach or an AD. It's really, really difficult. And the coaches who are in here will know what I'm talking about. It's a tough life for them as we're out there competing and doing whatever else, and they're sitting in the stands, and sometimes no one even notices them. But I wouldn't be here for her either as well, so thank you, dear. Trying to think what message I might say tonight. I just want to talk a little about my life at Timberlane. The first was looking at the community. Community was amazing back then, and the 71 baseball team will probably remember what the complex looked like before. The sand pits way over behind the bleachers. There was nothing there, absolutely nothing there. And we just worked with all the community to get the facilities that we needed. The lights, which was, we had to go out and fundraise for that, and we had a local businessman, and his daughter is here tonight, come up and say, I'll sign for a loan for it. I'll sign for a loan for it. And he signed for a loan for the lights. And we sold a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers to try to pay him back. And when it got down to about, $10,000 or $15,000, he wrote it off. He says, my gift to the to the Timberlane School District. The community was always there. I think until 5 or 10 years ago, we had passed the largest bond in the history of the state of New Hampshire. It was like $33 million. And again, that was through the work of the community. The administration let me do, and they never got involved in the type of thing telling me what I had to do. They allowed me to be a little creative and go the way I wanted to go. And that was so important as far as it goes. They never came to me and said, you should hire this coach or that one there. When I wanted to put new programs in, total support. Having the administration and being part of the team is another important element in some of the things that we accomplish. The coaches, you heard that all night tonight about the coaches. The coaches was like a family there. I talked to Coach Paraso today. He called me, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. And saying that he's telling me it was a pleasure to work for me, and I quickly corrected him and said, "You used the wrong preposition, Coach. We worked together. It was with, not for." And I kind of hope that all the coaches felt that way, that we worked together. The amount of the character and the people that I was willing to have and willing to be with at Timberlane was phenomenal. We have a track record there. The coaches don't leave. They stay here. They stay and they stay. And there's a reason why they stay there. It's because they believe in the Timberlane and they believe in the people that they're working with. I think us and Exeter are probably the two best school districts as far as retaining their coaches. And there's reasons for that. The coaches, you can talk to the players here now, and every one of them, and some of them alluded to it in their speeches tonight, can remember a special story about somewhere along the line when one of their coaches talked to them about something that wasn't sports, it was other things, and influenced them in their life. That's the type of people that they are. They didn't care, they shared their athletes. They didn't say, you just play this sport, and don't you play that sport. Coach Chu would tell the kids to go play football. We would be working together. They wanted the best for the athletic program. And that was, again, something that I know that we cherish and I cherish as an athletic director. As the players, and now I'll kind of put the hat on the other side of the thing as a coach. The players were tough, they had pride, and they wanted to win. I had the opportunity to coach some great teams. I had the opportunity to coach a couple state championships. A girls team was undefeated. I had sorry about this, Scott. We had the opportunity to beat Central Catholic when we were called it was in the paper, we were called the Hicks from the Sticks. We were getting ready to play them. And on that night, everyone was going to the game. It was a huge event. Central Catholic was 17-0, and I think we were 16-1. And I went to pick up my wife from work and gonna go back to catch the bus, and at that time she was pregnant. And as we were on the way home, she went, I looked at her, I says, "What's the matter?" She goes, "I think we gotta go back to the hospital." I goes, "What?" "We're playing Central Catholic tonight. We can't go back to the hospital." And so she says, "We gotta." So back to the hospital we go. And I called up my two assistants, it was John Luciano and Ken Lindelof, and said to them, "Looks like you're on tonight." No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. They said, "You gotta be there." I said, "No, it looks like you're on tonight." So we waited, and I'm looking at my watch, and all of a sudden, the doctor comes in, he says, "I'm not sure, this could be just a false alarm. I'm not sure she's gonna be having the baby tonight." And so I said to him, "Okay, Doc, listen." I says, "I'm there for my wife. I am there for my wife." I says, "You tell me she's having a baby, I'm here. You tell me that, there's a possibility or not." I told him about the thing. He says, "Go to the game." So now I had to arrange for her to get a ride home, which is another thing. So I had to get in the car, drive back, and great thing is we won in overtime. We beat them, and it was a great finish. But the one thing that the one story I was going to tell, one story. The second story I would tell is I coached a group in 1987. I saw Timmy Howard last night, and we were talking about it. And one of the things that I always taught the kids, or we always preached about, was to play with intensity, play with effort, and play with class. Those are the three things we would say every game. And we were getting ready to have a game against Laconia, and our team was pretty good. It wasn't a state championship type. We made a state championship, but we weren't going to win it. And they had, back in those days, I don't know if they still have them, a flower day. And Flower Day, I think it was run by the Honor Society. And what they would do was, around Valentine's Day, they would sell flowers, and it was go out to different colors, and it was, this one meant this, and this one meant friendship, and they would send it all over the place. It was a great fundraiser for the people, for the kids in that time. So, well, anyways, at that time, somehow about 100 of these slips got just misplaced. So kids were writing, athletes and students were writing all these different, all these letters all over to the, this is from me, this is from this, from now. And so the administration saw it, and so they caught like 30-something kids, or students, athletes, I should say, who were writing this. They didn't do anything wrong. They were just misplaced somewhere, but they said, no, you should have turned them in and so forth. And they said, we're going to give you an adjustment. An adjustment is the level below a suspension. They didn't look at it as a real serious thing, but they felt they still had to be a lesson in doing it. So I think it was Kevin Train. They were all in with all the. I wasn't at the meeting with the principal, and they said, "Don't worry, boys. You can play tomorrow night. It's an adjustment. An adjustment is not like a suspension. Adjustment you can play on the team." Kevin Train went. He said, "No." He says, "Coach isn't going to let us play. He isn't going to let us play." And they said, "Oh no, we'll talk to him. We're going to let him play. You can play." And so they came to me, and I said, "No, we have a rule. You get an adjustment, you don't play." So there were 7 of them that had the adjustment. Now I think we had 13 on the team, 14. So we had to go to Laconia. And Laconia was, they beat us by about 18 to 20 the first time, and they had like a 15-something record. So we went there, and we had basically 6 varsity players and a whole bunch of JV players. But the amazing thing I'm trying to get to the story is that day, all the parents came up, all of them. The parents, not just Laconia, this is 2 hours. The parents of the ones that weren't going to play, who were sitting on the bench with a shirt and tie, they all came up, and they all sat in the stands, and they were there to support what we were trying to teach the kids. It was a great lesson, and we're there, and Laconia felt a little cocky, and their best player had a bad ankle, and they decided, we'll sit him tonight, we'll sit him for a while, and well, after 3 periods, somehow or another, we were still with them, when we got to the 4th period, they panicked, and they put the kid back in, and I kept saying, boy, would it be nice to win this game, and make a long story short, we did win the game. We won the game, and after the game, the entire bleachers from our fans, must have been 50 parents, they came out hugging the kids, cheering with them. We're in the locker room, and we had a player who hadn't played at all this year. His name was Russ Hawkins, and he had the game of his life. He had like probably 20 points, 14 rebounds, crying his eyes out. And to see the teammates hugging them, it was a true essence of sports. Parents seeing what sports was about, athletes sharing what was important. We didn't win a championship that year, but Timmy Howard remembers that right now. He comes to me, "Do you remember that game? I can't believe we did that. We came together and we did something like that." And to me, that's what we're trying to teach here at Timberlane, and I think that's what hopefully we did do. All this led to a very good, I think, reputation, and like I think Dr. Holder had said, that we had a good reputation and it was proud to say you were from Timberlane. Whether you were field hockey, whether you were football, whether you were basketball, wrestling, you were glad to say I'm from Timberlane. When I went around the state and went here and went there, where are the AD from Timberlane? In Connecticut, where are you from? Timberlane. And I think that really made me feel good about it. The last thing I'll say is my wife and I live by a simple philosophy, and that's that life is about choices. And the best choice, one of the best choices we ever made, was coming to Timberlane. Thank you very much.
A 2001 graduate of the University of Wisconsin and a member of the Timberlane High School class of 1996, Jason is among the most decorated athletes in school history. Between the 12 combined seasons of cross-country, winter track, and spring track and field, Jason won an astonishing 14 individual class titles, 4 All-State titles, and 2 New England titles, all in distances of 800 meters or longer. In cross-country, he was a 3-time Class I state champion, as well as an All-State and New England champion in '95. In winter track, he won Class I titles at distances of 1,000, 1,500, and 3,000 meters, including back-to-back-to-back titles from 1994 to 1996 in the 1,500, including an all-state title his senior year. In the spring, he was a 3-time Class I state champion in both the 800 and 1600 meter and a 2-time all-state champion in the 1600, ending his career with the 1996 1600 meter New England title. His efforts contributed to Team Class I cross-country state championships in 93, 94, and 95, and a Class I track and field state championship in 1996. He represented Timberlane at Junior Nationals his junior and senior seasons, placing 6th and 5th respectively, as well as representing the Owls at the National Scholastic Meet in California, both years finishing top 3, including a runner-up finish in 1995. At the University of Wisconsin, he was a member of the 99 NCAA runner-up cross-country team, and in 2000, he was a Big Ten champion and placed 8th at the NCAA Division I cross-country meet, earning him Division I All-American status. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Jason Vanderhoof.
So I'm not going to be as elegant as Bucky. Clearly, I can't be an athletic director to to match that. First off, I want to just thank the committee for putting together this Hall of Fame, sort of bringing it all back. I'm very, very honored to be inducted. It's so humbling to hear about the accomplishments of these athletes coming into this class. It's incredible that we've all come out of the same high school. I really want to thank my parents, above and beyond, for the endless, and I mean endless, pasta dinners they put on, supporting me by coming to all of our races. And as a kid, when we got new running shoes, we had to run up the driveway to show how fast they were. I think that may have sparked my love of running. I want to say thank you to my coaches. I had two, unlike most of you here, I was a single sport athlete. I just ran in a circle, very good at turning left. My two coaches, Don Woodworth, cross country and track, and then Kurt Zing was the distance coach during most of my time there. I remember Woody, driving me up to the state meet my freshman year. I was the only athlete participating. Picked me up in Sandown, and we drove out to Manchester, and I ran. It was a very humbling experience. And then Kurt was really the first person that pushed me to run year-round, and I started doing that after my sophomore year. And I think my teammates all thought I was crazy for it. I thought I was a little crazy for it at times, but it made all the difference. Running's an individual sport, and even though it's an individual sport, it has this really weird team aspect to it. I feel like runners are all pretty quiet and reserved. They're not as boisterous as some of the other sports, but there's this quiet thing that comes together, particularly in cross country, where it's 5 of you. It doesn't matter who finishes first, but it's the collective you that all 5 of you are part of scoring. And I was very, very fortunate to be part of some just really incredible distance teams. My sophomore year, junior, and senior year, more athletes than I can remember. And then track is a whole nother beast. I mean, Jay Holder, I can remember you, my gosh, it must have been my senior year. You would get the baton, and you had this crouched over just power. It was a power position. You would just run down the track. But that track pulls together athletes that aren't just distance runners or sprinters or jumpers. It pulls them all together, and it's a place for everybody to do their little piece of this much larger goal of winning this championship. And I think my senior year, in 96, was a home meet. It was one of the first home meets we had on our new track that Bucky was pretty instrumental in getting. I grew up looking to, they're inducted, the Kimball brothers. Dean Kimball, I think, still holds the 2-mile record at Timberlane, 9:07. And I really looked up to those guys. And just listening to everybody's accomplishments up here, I really hope that I watch my two little boys growing up and just loving sport for the essence of the sport. I hope that we can all here inspire the next generation of kids that are coming up and aren't there yet, but are going to take down eventually all of our records and surpass all of our accomplishments and continue to just wow and astound the people of the community. So thank you again very much for this honor. It's tremendous. And congratulations to all of you.
Distance runners are reserved and boisterous. I now know why I hate running. In the now 51 years of Timberlane history, the athletic program has amassed a total of 55 state titles and raised 65 championship banners in all. But only one can be first. The 1971 boys baseball team entered the season among the favorites in the state after falling just short in previous seasons. As freshmen, the seniors on the 71 team had reached the 68 state finals before ending the season as runner-ups. Over the course of the 1971 season, the team fought in close battles with much of the state, 10 times winning by a single run, further proving the special resolve and fight of this group of young men. All in all, the team would complete a 19-0 undefeated season, culminating with a 6-5 victory over Littleton and future Major League Baseball pitcher Rich Gale in the Class I state finals to become the school's very first state championship team. On behalf of the Hall of Fame committee and the entire Timberlane community, Principal Don Woodworth and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia officially welcome our newest class of 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, the 1971 Timberlane boys baseball team. Accepting the plaque and speaking on behalf of the team is Coach Bill Schoenfeld.
Before I begin, I'd ask you to please bow your heads in remembrance of three of our members who have passed. Senior Rick Lapierre, Junior Jack Lister, Sophomore Ralph Poole. Please give us a moment of silence. Thank you. I promise you I won't be as lengthy as Bucky. I know that there are some of you, I know Big Brother's final show is on tonight, and some of you are probably anxious to get home and watch that. First of all, congratulations to all the inductees. This is truly an honor for us to be included in this particular group. Thank you to the selection committee. I think you made the right choice with us, as well as the other inductees. Angelo, thank you for successfully planning this event and for resurrecting the Hall of Fame. Special thanks to Billy Moody, our co-captain and shortstop, who certainly was instrumental with his boundless energy and his persistence in putting this all together. Billy, I know I speak for everyone on the team. Thanks an awful lot. And thank you to the 1971 state championship baseball team for taking me on this journey. What you have to understand is that I was only about 7 years older than these guys. I was only 25 when I got that job. And it was by the grace of God that I was blessed with and surrounded by athletes who just wouldn't quit. I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you and say it was real easy and it was all peaches and cream with these guys, because it wasn't. But by the same token, those of you in here that have coached, we both learned. And it was growing pains for me as well as growing pains for the boys that I coached. On a personal note, when I got the job, you've got under 25 years old, and I was a marginal baseball player at best. But I was blessed with my late father-in-law, who was a Hall of Fame member in North Andover and at the St. Anselm's Hall of Fame. And he had a vast, vast knowledge of baseball. And I leaned on him for his knowledge. And I'd go up to his house in North Andover, and I'd sit at the kitchen table with him and just pick his brain night after night after night in trying to garner as much knowledge as I could about the sport and about coaching in general. George Benny Lee was a huge influence in my life. He also taught me how to drink bourbon during those sessions. And that taste for bourbon came in handy on a number of occasions. He also allowed me to take the hand of his middle daughter in marriage 47 years ago. Joanne has been my support system, encouragement, you name it. And Bucky got up here and said, you know, that when you're coaching and you're out of the house for lengthy periods of time, we had 2 children. My wife brought them up. I certainly didn't, because I was involved with coaching. Plus, I didn't have the disposition that she had anyhow. I was fortunate to have as an assistant coach a guy whose knowledge and his loyalty and his common sense approach to the game was invaluable to our success. John Glenn had Ted Williams as his wingman. I had Barry Sargent. Barry, I'd like you to come up here, please, and say a few words.
I'm not sure I can follow in John Glenn's footsteps or Ted Williams, but I'll give it a shot. Some of you know me as I used to be the school district moderator, so I've spoken in front of people quite often. But tonight, it doesn't help me at all. I'm quite nervous being here. And I'm nervous because I'm humbled to be here, because I'm amongst some of the best athletes and coaches that Timberlane has ever produced in 50 years. And I think you ought to give all yourselves a round of applause. My math is also fairly good because I learned my basic math at Pollard School in Plastow. But I think it's about 46 years since we had our state championship in 1971. And certain things have gone on since then. I can recall the time I met Larry Bonham. I hadn't met Larry in I think 30 or 40 years, and I met him at the Kingston House in Kingston, New Hampshire. I happened to be at the bar, and there was this guy across from me. And I said, you know, I think I know this guy. I went up to him and I said, are you Larry Bonham? He said, are you Mr. Sargent? I said, yeah, I am. And to the people next to him, I said, you know, I coached this kid when he was in high school. Larry says to me, Mr. Sargent, I'm 60 years old. I said, well, how old is that going to make me? On the team, we always had some characters. And Steve Simpson is one of those characters that I remember. In fact, Steve is here tonight. And Steve is the only guy I know that would wear formal attire to tonight's event. Steve, stand up and show him your threads. Now, these guys like Steve were characters, but it all depends on the definition you give to character. All the guys on the team had character and they had confidence. And those of you out there tonight that are either athletes or coaches, you know how hard it is to go undefeated. And to get 15 guys all together for 19 games and go undefeated, it's an accomplishment for these guys. It really is. Especially to beat a guy like Rich Gale, who went on to pitch for the Kansas City Royals. And he also, in the late 80s and early 90s, was a pitching coach for the Red Sox. So they didn't beat just any scrub in the finals game. I also want to thank Billy Moody for his effort today to make this possible and all the work that he did. But in the end, this team had character and it had confidence. And as the season went along, they developed that. And in the end, they thought no one could beat them. And guess what? Nobody ever did. Thank you very much.
Mr. Woodworth, This is going to answer all your questions. This is the scorebook that I've hung on to for 46 years. It's legit. And I'm going to present it to Mr. Woodworth and to Mr. Fantasia in the hopes that they're going to find a proper place for it in the trophy case at the high school.
At this time, alongside Coach Bill Schoenfeld and Assistant Coach Barry Sargent, Principal Don Woodworth, and Athletic Director Angelo Fantasia, would like to welcome the following individuals to receive their certificate of induction into the Timberlane Hall of Fame as members of the 1971 baseball team. Larry Barnum. Bruce Carrington. Peter Hansberry. Rick LaPierre. Accepting on Rick's behalf is his brother, Mike LaPierre. Jack Lister. Accepting on Jack's behalf is his sister, Donna Lamprey. Fred Miller. Wilbur Moody. Ralph Poole. Matthew Reed. Dennis Sabatino. Steve Simpson. Dana Smith. And lastly, Rusty Stevens.
One thing I wanted to say after they got these awards, the guys you see up here today, as compared to the other attendees tonight, most of the other ones weren't even born when these guys won the championship. Whoa. Nice. That's why I got the king.
Our team had a combined batting average of .310, and our fielding average was .944. So that kept us in the one-run games that we won. But it was an awesome year. Awesome.
Congratulations to the Timberlane Hall of Fame class of 2017. On behalf of all alumni, thank you for the tremendous effort and sacrifice you put forth representing our wonderful school during your time as an Owl, and all the pride and joy you brought to our community with your triumphs. Now I'll turn it over to Angelo again for his closing remarks.
First of all, I think that want to just say that I think Bucky Tardif said it best. One thing about Timberlane, and I say it all the time, is it is a family. It is a community. It's been 22 years, but I have to tell you, it's beautiful to see all of you. I was not here while you people were competing, but through email and through phone calls and through research with the Hall of Fame committee, you are all incredibly deserving of your award. I am really, really in awe of all of you, all the individuals and the 1971 baseball team. It is just such a community, and please know that you are always part of this community, as you can tell. I was supposed to tell you this earlier, but I'll tell you now. On the tables of the inductees, we have envelopes with complimentary tickets for the football game, because on Friday night when we beat Salem, you're going to be there, and at halftime, you're going to be honored in front of your community at halftime. And we really want to make sure that you are there. If you can't be, I totally understand, but you will all be recognized on that evening, because you deserve that. As far as the Hall of Fame goes, our next induction ceremony is going to be in 2019. So we're anticipating another great class. We're anticipating another great evening. You people are always welcome, as we all know. So again, I just wanted to make sure that people did understand that we'd love to have you on Friday night. If you can't make it, we all have our email addresses now. I feel like I know all of you now, so just email me and tell me what's going on. Before you leave, one last piece that I want to take care of. We really want to get a picture of all of the inductees, and we want to send that to newspapers. We want to post it on our website. So as we conclude, I'm going to ask, I feel like I'm dealing with my kids again. Before you leave, I'd like you to come up here as inductees. We want to try to arrange for a couple of photos. I want a photo of all of you, team and individuals. I want a photo of the team, and I want a photo of the individual, the 7 individuals. I want to make sure I get those 3 photos before you leave. So again, I want to thank all of you. Again, congratulations, and just a great, great evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.